Well, I think it's not just the Riverside inquiry that really highlighted the problem, but we've been receiving reports from estimators and from building consultants for some time that there was a difficulty with trusses. In some cases it's been the manufacturer of the truss itself, although the one particular manufacturer that we had some concerns about is no longer producing trusses, so that's fixed that problem. But there is still a lack of knowledge out there about, first of all, how to store trusses when they arrive on site, and secondly about the erection of them, and particularly from some of the allied trades about what sort of weight bearing that can take place and when it's safe to do that. If the design has been created in a particular way with a particular load in mind, and then you start adding loads to that and wind shear factor to it, which the original calculations didn't take into account, then that can have a difficult effect, and it really needs to be re-engineered if that's what you're going to do. What we have seen is quite substantial structures added to the trusses, and in some cases that's destroyed the integrity of the original design. Well, what you can then end up with is that you can have an overload of it so that the trusses fail. That's the worst case scenario. Other things that can happen is that it can affect the utility of the structure that you've put up and connected to the trusses, so you mightn't be getting exactly the product that you wanted. In the case of solar panels, it may not be performing in the way in which you expected it to. Well, certainly the air conditioning has been one of our major concerns, particularly as air conditioning units get larger, and in some cases we have seen some unqualified installers of air conditioning actually cut through the trusses, and they didn't realise when we spoke to them just what effect that had had. You would have thought that a small amount of thought would have told them that that was likely to produce a real problem, but it can be quite a devastating problem. So that's a matter about educating and telling them just how they have to maintain the integrity of the trusses. Well, we've always had a fairly sophisticated timber framing code course, which goes over about 14 nights. That's quite a complex course and deals with a lot of these issues. But to address this particular issue, we've put together a 6-hour course, and we are getting a large number of our carpenters and installers who are going through it. And most of them are being very complimentary of the course and saying that they learned a lot out of it and that they're much better informed now. What I would say is there are some things that homeowners and unqualified people just shouldn't do. You think of things like waterproofing and foundations, and I'd put this in the same category. It's not to say that people shouldn't be engaged in the home renovation market, but there are some things that you just really, unless you're an expert, shouldn't touch. And my suggestion would be where it's got to do with trusses, and particularly the installation of trusses or the alteration of trusses, that's a professional job, and really you need to have a professional do it. Well, they could certainly come to the HIA. We've got technical advisors on staff. Some of the other building membership associations, they also have technical experts on staff. They can, of course, go to the Office of Consumer Affairs and they will direct them to the appropriate places to go. And there's, of course, the Department of Planning who can also help. So there's a number of sources that they can access. And certainly the truss manufacturers, and there's 2 major design companies involved in this field, and I'm sure that any one of those authorities will direct them to one of those 2 design companies who can help.